All right, this video is going to cover the statistics portion of the in-class test. All right, so here we're just being asked to find these 4 measures of central tendency and then the range. Okay, so that comes from the statistics section. So you need to know these. You need to know mean, median, mode, and mid-range. Okay, now for median and for mid-range, you kind of need to think about them in order. So I'm even though I don't need that for mean, I might go ahead and do that. So I'm just going to take a moment to put these in order. Okay. Okay. So I'm just trying to put them in order from smallest to largest. You do the same. Okay, so let's see, how many did we have? We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So again, I don't need them in order for the mean, but I needed them in order. It helped to have them in order for mode and for mid-range and range, and then you have to have them in order when you're doing the median. So I just sometimes like to go ahead and do that. All right, so mean is when you add them all up and then divide by how many you have. So I'm going to take the 185 plus the 195 plus all the rest of those all the way through 315. And then there were 10 items. So I'm going to take that total and divide by 10. Okay, so I'm going to come in and do that. So I'm adding up 185, 195, 196. Just going through adding all those numbers. Make sure you're looking at what you typed in. Make sure you don't make any typos. Okay. And when I did that, I got 2495 as the total. So when I divide that by 10, I'm going to get a 249.5. Now, it's important that that total is correct. So you need to double check that. So you need to go back at what you typed in and just look through, make sure you typed in what you meant to type in. So I'm going through, I'm scrolling using my arrow key, just making sure I didn't do a typo. Okay, nope, that should be it. That's the mean. Now for the median, what I'm going to do for the median is I'm going to look for the middle number, but if there's 10 data values, then what's going to happen there is if I go from the bottom, go 5 from the bottom, if I go 5 from the top, okay, there's no middle number. The median would be right here. So what you do in a case like that is you take the 2 middle values. So I'm going to wind up taking those 2 middle values, the 245 plus the 251, and average them. Now, try typing that in because people don't get the right answer on this sometimes. Like if you're not careful, if you're using that calculator I typically use, which doesn't allow me to type it so it looks like that, you might get 370.5, which can't possibly be right. Okay, and the mistake is that the 245 plus 251, you have to add that and hit enter before you divide by 2. And then you get the number that's in between, halfway in between 245 and 251. That would be 248. Okay, so the mean was 249.5. The median, that's supposed to be a 4. Let me rewrite that, was 248. Okay. All right, now another thing we need is the mode. The mode is just the one that occurs most frequently. So on that one, once they're in order, I'm looking for any number that's repeated. None of them are repeated, so there's no mode in this case. If one of them had been repeated once or even more than once, the one that occurs the most would be your mode. So this one has no mode. All right, and then for mid-range, mid-range is when you only look at two values. You take the lowest one, which is the 185, plus the highest one, which is the 315, and you average those. So 185 plus 315, divide that by 2, and I get a middle value, the mid-range being 250. Okay, so that's the measures of central tendency that you need to know. Okay, mean, median, and mode, and also mid-range. Right, and then range is another concept. It's one of the measures of dispersion or spread of the data. Mean, median, and mode are supposed to give you a sense of a typical weight, like an average in quotes, an average weight of a football player. But sometimes one is more appropriate than others. Okay. If you had any real, what they call outliers, any numbers that were really huge compared to all the data values or really small compared to all of them, sometimes the median is better to use than the mean. In this case, I don't think we could say we really have an outlier. Nothing's extremely low compared to all the rest. Anyway, but all four of those are supposed to give you an idea of a typical value in the data set. Okay. Now, range is different. And a lot of times we like to have a measure of dispersion along with a measure of central tendency to kind of give us a sense of what's really going on. Range tends to tell you how variable the data values were. So you take your highest one and you just subtract the lowest one, and that's it. Okay? Nothing else. Just take the highest one, subtract the lowest one, and that just tells you how far apart those two data values are. So the range would be 130 pounds. All of these, by the way, would be pounds. Okay. All right. Now, there's other measures of dispersion, like standard deviation, that you learn about if you do more with statistics. But that's all you're responsible for there. So for the in-class part of the test, make sure you know how to do those: mean, median, and mode, and mid-range. Also range.